Hey everyone, this is part one of a two-part episode. It looked like she had like a glossy faux fur coat.
I
I
don't
live
think
for nights I get to wear my glossy faux furs. It's time to take A Therapeutic Dose, a prescription-strength reality TV podcast that explores the intersection of reality TV and therapy. Possible side effects may include entertainment, strong emotional reactions, and/or laughter. Here are your hosts, Ramona Ramirez and Margie McGee.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Therapeutic Dose, where we meet at the intersection of reality TV and therapy. I am Margie McGee, and with me, as always, is my dear friend and co-host.
Hello, I am Ramona Ramirez. Margie, it is beautiful to see you to start this week off. You're a vision. If people aren't watching us on YouTube, which you can't if I don't post it, apologies, I'm getting there. Margie, you're radiant in this beautiful pink sweatshirt and your beautiful blonde hair and the light
You're so
coming from your
nice.
beautiful sparkling eyes. And I love you
Oh,
so much. And I couldn't wait to see you.
I love you too. I feel the same, and you look gorgeous too, as always,
Oh,
in like
thank
the
you.
coolest T-shirt available.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, the
Thank you.
best hair
Shout
and
out to Low
background.
Level. Shout out to Low Level. Thank you. Thank you. It's funny. I need to text my 14-year-old niece and be like, you know how long it took me to do a natural look makeup beat this morning? Natural look makeup it still takes a long ass time.
It's
Nothing's natural about the amount of blush I have on, but
listen. It's a natural blush. It's as if
it's a natural
someone just
blush.
said something scandalous and you went like, "Ooh."
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's a permanent path.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I watch those like TikTok or YouTube tutorials just as like, I don't know, it's like watching a cooking show to me. Like I'll never do it, but it's interesting to watch someone and it's
My
so many
God.
steps, so many products. And I'm just, such a child of like the 90s where we had Wet and Wild eyeliner and Bonnie Bell lip smacker. And like
Yeah.
if you had that on, you were like,
You were golden.
yeah, or you were
Sh-
like
sh-
borderline whore because it was like so much makeup.
Totally. Totally. Shout out to Wet and Wild Frosty Pink Lipstick. I
Mm.
believe the number was 518 or 517. I also believe that I five-finger discounted one for myself. And in my 9-step, I went back to that same drugstore in Bellingham, Washington, and I took one of the lipsticks to the cashier. And I was like, when I was in 7th grade, 9th grade, I put one of these in my pocket and I walked out. I would like to pay for it and then whatever the cost increase was. And they were like, I don't know how to fucking help you, lady. Like, this lipstick is under $3 still. And yeah, but I did it. I was willing to do it.
It's so
I was willing
funny.
to do that.
I had the same experience, or I stole a pack of Bonnie Bell lip smackers, the ones that were like root
Mm-hmm.
beer and,
Oh,
like all the
yeah.
flavors.
Bubblegum.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
But the whole pack, like, and it stayed with me obviously until I was like in my 20s and doing my 4th step. And for my 9th step, I had to go back to that pharmacy, but it was a little pharmacy that had a tip jar at the counter. So my sponsor was just like, just put the money in the tip jar. Like, don't make a big fucking deal about it. And
I
like,
love that.
yeah. And I mean, it's
Yeah.
great. Not that, whatever. The 12 steps are great. Because I was the only one. I don't think the pharmacy was like, our profit margin is all
Oh,
off
hell
because
no.
we
No.
lost one cotton candy
Yeah.
lip smacker pack. Like, but I carried it with me for decades. So I had to go back
Oh,
and the
totally.
relief of just putting 20 bucks in that jar. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
I mean,
free.
totally. And also knowing like, okay, someone could be like, what is that term? Zero tolerance. Like I was fully prepared if I walk into one of these stores and it wasn't like I was a prolific fucking shoplifter. Let's get it straight. I took a ring from a Nordstrom affiliate called Place 2, which was like, you know what? Never mind. If you want to Wikipedia the history of Place 2, please be my guest. I am not going to take up any. Nobody called for that. Nobody might have called for our 12-step shoplifting 9-step stories either. But this is our podcast, and for some reason we brought this up. Makeup. So
Makeup.
I was fully prepared. Like, okay, this store may be zero tolerance. They may call the cops on
Mm-hmm.
me and I might have to go to jail. And that is fine. Like, I was willing to do that. Most people just looked at me and said, thank you so much. Good luck with your recovery.
Right.
Now,
Exactly.
my sister came with me to do it at the drugstore
Oh.
in Bellingham. "Oh, no, 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 don't awe her."
Oh.
And she was like, "Oh, well, while you pay for that, will you get me these chips?" Was all.
Listen, we're missing the point here, dear. This is
I
a very
know. It was
specific errand.
I
We'll do
know.
snacks
I
after.
know. It was so she was just so, like, it made me laugh, but also I was like, "Dude." Anyway, I
I
don't know
mean,
if she'll even remember that.
it's so great how, like, how how completely, earth-changing and important it is to the person making the amends and how utterly irrelevant it is to everyone else in their day. The person behind the counter is like, "This is more of a hassle than it's worth." Your sister's like, "Can I get some chips?" And meanwhile, you're like, "I'm resolving my soul's crisis that led me into the depths of addiction and despair." But okay.
Right?
Yeah, but it's
It's
true. I
hilarious.
carried around the guilt and shame. Like, I couldn't walk by a California pharmacy my whole life without just it was just with me. It was so stupid and, whatever. I'm grateful
Yeah.
for the like, they promise you that you'll be able to hold your head up high and look anyone in the eyes after you complete your ninth step, and holy hell if that hasn't been my experience,
It's
including the people at
100%.
the California pharmacy who don't give a shit,
Yep.
but I did.
Don't give a rat's. They just don't give a shit. You're right.
No.
It's really
I'm
powerful
yeah,
to yeah.
to tell the
I don't know,
truth,
Lala. Yeah.
right?
I can sleep at night, Lala. I can sleep at night. Can you? Let's see. Before we start, I would be remiss if I didn't invite you to rate, review, and subscribe and pass it on to your friends, to your Bravo loving colleagues. Hey, I've got this podcast I think you'd really enjoy. These two irreverent women come on and they normalize talking about mental health from a frame of looking at it through Bravo and the various Bravo celebrities who bring their respective toxicity to our screens.
Bless them.
Yes, bless them for sure. We are looking at season 18, episode 2 of The Real Housewives of Orange County, and this episode is called Rents and Reputations. Margie and I both watched the Peacock version, and I
Oh, no,
don't
I
think there were
didn't.
any. Oh, you didn't? That's
No.
okay. I don't think there were any added scenes
Oh,
because even
okay.
the Peacock version was only 42 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, I think the editors were like, "Wow, we don't need to like buffer anything with anything because we've got so many
It was great.
tasty morsels." It was another great episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a quick correction. Last week I said that Heather was wearing her little Chanel outfit in her confessionals. It's actually Alexander Wang. It's not Chanel. I don't know what's worse. I feel like you have the choice between wearing something with a legacy of being started by not just a Nazi sympathizer, but like a Nazi enthusiast and enabler and willing participant. Or you have someone that has been repeatedly accused of sexual assault. Now, we all know that Lisa Rinna loves her for some Alexander Wang. She wears Alexander Wang any chance she gets. She gets paid to wear his shit on Instagram. That's yet another reason why I have less than zero respect for that woman because she had the audacity to look at Camille.
Grammar.
I don't know what her last name is now. Yeah.
Oh,
And this was when they were recording during the Brett Kavanaugh trials. Not trials, but the hearing. Shout out to Christine Blasey Ford, not only for her bravery speaking to that investigation panel that day. I'm sorry if I don't know the correct terminology right now. It's quasi early and I don't remember. But um oh, I could cry. I didn't know this was gonna like really get to me. She also, she was a professor at Stanford. She was leading the charge to reframe the way that ketamine use for PTSD and chronic depression could be remedied with the use of ketamine. When I learned that, I was like, holy fucking shit. This woman is so important. And
yeah,
this
her
woman is
legacy
so
is, like,
brave.
broad and
It is.
amazing.
It is, and I just, like, I keep meaning to write her a letter as someone whose life has been profoundly and permanently changed from the use of this medicine. It just makes all the more sense why she was able to do what she did. Oh, I am grateful for her. So, anyway, I don't know. That's just my correction. She's wearing Wang.
Oh,
Gross.
I was like, "Where did that start?"
Gross.
Right. That whole confessional thing is so weird. I noticed this week that she's sitting, like, in sort of a three-quarter over the shoulder. I'm like, "What are you doing? Just face the fucking camera like a regular person." It's
She's
so
posing for old
weird.
school headshots.
She totally is, but like Sears Portrait Studio style. Like, she's sitting on
It's just
a block, like, three-quarter turned with her head over her
totally.
shoulder. It's such an odd choice, but she's an odd choice. She's an odd bird.
She
Don't
she
like
is an
her.
odd bird. I don't either, and I am loving I just like every episode, I just salivate for what Katie is gonna tell us or do
I
about
Katie's
her relationship with Katie.
and
Mhm. I mean, her
everything.
with Heather. Yeah.
Katie
Agreed.
seems like
Agreed.
a deep well. But my,
Mhm.
like, major takeaways from this episode is that, like, everybody, to quote you, is just full hip. Like, everyone is a
Full hip.
raging, aggressive, unapologetic hypocrite. And on the flip side, how adorable are everyone's children? Why are everyone's kids
They're
so cute?
so
This
adorable.
was, like, a
They're
really
so
kid-heavy
adorable.
episode, and I loved every single one of them. I was like, "Oh, everyone's
Yeah.
darling. You all made great families."
Yeah.
So, at least there's that.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Including,
mean,
like, Tamra's daughter who just face planted in the snow on camera. I was like, "You're so
oh, her
cute."
granddaughter, Ava?
Granddaughter,
Yeah.
sorry, yes.
Jesus. Too bad her dad she's got the stink of her dad on me. Stink of her dad on her, and I wish that she
No, they all
ew,
have
gross.
stinks on them, yes, but,
Right.
but just, like, objectively, they kept
Yeah,
entering
I hear what you're
scenes, and I was
saying.
like, "Cute, cute, cute."
Yeah.
But
Katie's kids are friggin' adorable.
adorable, and
Yeah.
Jen's little one, like, coming in on with his, like, dirt bike of shame, he's like, "Sorry, I'm hungry."
I
He's so
had
cute.
so much to say about that scene.
Yeah, I don't like Ryan playing parent, it's weird.
I don't like I didn't like I really went there last night when I watched this episode 3 times.
Mm.
Anyway, um, let's get into it, shall we?
Yes, we pick
It
up
is
where we left off, go
yep.
ahead.
We're back to Heather's SpawnCon Balboa Bay Club New Year, New Me 2024 party. Alexis huffs back in from her conversation with Shannon in a flourish of frustrated vocalizations. I was like, you're doing the most, Alexis. Calm down, calm down. Just because it feels like this isn't genuine behavior for Alexis, I am willing to give her the benefit of the doubt in that when she was living under the iron regime of Jim Bellino, which, if anyone remembers Jim Bellino from back in when Alexis was first on the show, he is disgusting and
We got a
terrifying and
flashback, and I
horrible.
literally
Yeah.
recoiled in my chair. I was like, "Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Yes.
Ugh." He's
Yes. We
awful.
become one flesh. Barf.
"The wife stays home,"
The wife
was
stays
his
home.
instruction, and she was like, "Huh?"
I mean, even her taglines back in the day were like, "My husband is the head of our household," or some shit. I mean, it was just like this archaic Alexis was trad wifing before trad wifing was a thing, except for the fact that she wasn't wearing natural fiber clothing and her hair in long braids and possibly like that German milkmaid barmaid outfit with like that gathers around the boobs of your shirt. I don't know, but she was hella trad wifing. Gross, Gimbolino. My point is, this behavior I'm having to adjust to it because it's getting used to a bolder Alexis Bellino.
But I
Alexis
do think this
Couture.
first party, she's just performing. Like, it's
Mhm.
all written
Mhm.
lines, that whole, like you said, her hyperventilating when she came in, being like, I'm trying to contain myself."
Totally.
I'm like, it wasn't
Totally.
that interesting, and another round of, like, confessional trying to, like, Shannon storms Bador, find a new tornado, hurricane, storm system weather
Oh my
pattern. I
god.
was like,
Yeah.
"Can you just leave us alone?" Like, Shannon Bador, there's the door was bad enough because you were outdoors and there's no doors, and that was dumb. but like she just really feels like she showed up for day one of shooting like a, like
She didn't
she
workshop
really wants to
none
do
of it.
something. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Yes.
She didn't
She
workshop
needed an
any of
out of
it.
town tryout for this
She
material.
really did. She
It's
needed
not
some people
landing.
she needed to have a meeting with some people and run by her lines, and they would have said, "You need to take this back to the table and rework it, let us know, and
Hmm.
then we'll say if you can go do this bullshit when you walk back in." But she didn't do that.
No, she
She
did
didn't
not.
do the work. Just kidding. Oh my god. Let's see. Yes, go ahead, please,
I
please.
mean, this party just like it dragged on and on for me. Emily goes to the wish station and makes wishes for Jen to have a house and a car because Jen was evicted. And this broke my heart. She told her kids that option A is to live with with Ryan, and there is no option B. So the kids are on board. What do you know? Moving in with Ryan. And then we get Gina introducing that she's going to blame Jen for tarnishing her reputation as a real estate agent, at which she's been an agent for like 2 months. She has no reputation. And in this moment, this is when I was like, oh, everyone is a hypocrite. So Gina's like making this stand, like, Jen ruined my reputation. And then Heather just casually reveals, like, well, and Jen didn't have a credit check because Gina, you vouched for her, right? And I was like, well, Gina, there's your problem.
Yeah,
Like,
that's on Gina.
you
That's on
can't,
Gina, right?
you know, yeah, it's that's on your side of the street. It's that whole, speaking of the 12 step, it's the fourth step thing. Like, who are you resentful at, Jen? Why? Because she didn't pay her rent in the home that I got for her. What does it affect in you? My financial security, my pride, my self-esteem. What is your part? Oh, you didn't run a credit check. That's your part. Because then you would know she probably wouldn't be able to make such payments. If she was $24,000 in the hole, this is a high rent home. Do a fucking credit check. If it's 2 grand a month, like you could eat that if it goes left. But like, this is insane, right?
Yeah, and I
Gina can
would
go to
bet
hell.
that for all of the chatting that Gina was doing about, contracts, you signed a contract.
Because
I'm
you,
sure
but
there's something
you,
in her contract that, like, says you need to run a credit check, and
of
if you didn't,
course,
yeah, you're right, it's totally on her.
you can
Completely,
Airbnb without a credit check. Like
completely.
she had options, like Gina didn't have to do this. And
Mhm.
if you're building your reputation, you just built your reputation. You're someone who which is a lovely motivation. You found a friend in need, but you shirked your responsibilities as a professional to get them a home. And that's your reputation now. And that's not Jen's fault. That's yours. You're the
Yeah.
professional. You're the one
Yeah.
with the degree. You're the one who took the exam.
Yep.
Gina
Yep,
really
yep,
was
yep.
all the way up my ass this episode. I couldn't stand her.
Uh, I yeah, I have a lot. I have a lot. There's just so this episode triggered all of my Al-Anon stuff so
Hmm.
much. Like, so much of it. I have copious notes. Let's see. We see a little bit of a confessional between Tamra and Shannon's text exchange, about what they said. Tamara tells us that she still cares about Shannon despite their current relationship status not being good. We see a text exchange showing as much. Then Shannon's confessional, she responds by saying Tamara not only liked Alexis's post showing off the promised with a D ring, okay, that she liked it and commented with the applause emoji. I'm just here to say, like, keep your shit off Instagram if you don't want people, like, fucking your life up. That's all I gotta say. Social media is always gonna tell on you, and so make your choices wisely.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The
I
this
I
whole yeah.
I applauded Shannon for keeping Tamara at arm's length because she's telling us one thing. I still care about Shannon, and if she reaches out to me and apologizes, I would totally be there for her. But, she's not someone that you can trust as far you can look her face. You know how they say, what's that saying? "I can't trust you as far as I can throw you."
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. I'm not interested in throwing Tamara, but I can't trust her if she's standing right in front of me. It's just yeah.
Well, and
Anyway.
Tamara, this is also like a full hip moment, like because Tamara, they have this discussion in the hallway where, Tamara initiates this. she says hateful things. You know, Shannon says, I don't remember talking behind your back. And Tamra says, I heard you said I'm a horrible friend. I have a giant ego and I think I'm better than everybody. And I was like, yeah, I think that's all accurate. And
I
Shannon,
mean,
yeah, where's the lie, right?
no. Yeah,
Shannon
yeah,
says that
exactly.
the Trace Amiga show revolved around Tamra's schedule, and Tamra would say to them, "Thank me for this show." Tamra denies it. Shannon then says, "Let's sit down and have a proper conversation instead of yelling in a hallway." And Tamra refuses, and then just calls her a horrible person. And then Tamra says, "Who's done horrible things to me." And then in her confessional, she says Shannon lies about everything. All she has to do is apologize to me and we can move forward. Now, in a few scenes, she'll immediately take it all back and say it's not about Trace Amigas at all. It's that Shannon's letting everybody down and lying to herself and everyone else. I'm like, you dug in so hard on this at this party. And then you realize this isn't going to break your way. So, in your stupid scene with your motorcycles and your cheeseburger shack with your husband, you're just going to reverse it all and be like, actually, it's none of that. It has nothing to do with Tracy Amigas. I'm going to try this angle instead. Just like, again, full hip.
Tamra is so infused with the essence that is Orange County. I mean, that fucking biker bar that they went to and their matching Harley
Ugh.
house in Big Bear. Nothing wrong with a house in Big Bear. It's just like Tamra is, you know, she's hashtag Bass Lake. She's hashtag OC. She's, I judge her.
Tamra Judge.
I judge her.
Well,
Tamra Judge.
her name
Tamra
sets you up
Judge.
for it.
Tamra Judge her. Yes.
The only other thing that I thought was of interest in this luncheon is that it's Jen who approaches Gina at the party to say, like, hey, this is not the time or place, but I want to talk to you because clearly there's some tension here. It's Jen who approaches Gina. So Gina's talking all this shit. She ruined my reputation. Meh, meh, meh. And then it's Jen who calmly comes to her and says, we should discuss this. And then Gina tries to make it seem like, well, yeah, of course. I wasn't going to talk about it here because I've ruined Heather's parties in the past. And I was like, shut up. Shut up.
Yeah. Footage never forgets. Footage never
Preach.
forgets. I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but don't think I would be me if I didn't bring it up. I watched this episode 3 times, so I honed in on the swag bags that everyone was carrying, the little gray swag bags. They were from an establishment called Holy Chic. Not Holy Shit,
Of course
Holy
they are.
Chic. Holy Chic, right?
Right next door to
So, and it's
Shreds
in that Live
Gym.
Love, right? It's in Orange County, and if there is a place on the west coast of this country of ours that encompasses a home goods live, love, laugh, Chip and Joanna Gaines, you know, decor bullshit, it is Orange County. Orange County is that sign. Orange County is also very religious. They have a lot of those big rock churches and shit. Um, Yeah, holy chic. So I wonder, I can only imagine the abominations in there, you know, that are like the religious wine mom puns and
Oh,
shit like
God.
that. Like, is it a religious wannabe Pinterest board, pumpkin spice girl latte? You know what I'm saying? I'm being heavy-handed here, but I was like, oh, you got to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
And then I also honed in on the lunch menu, if anyone's interested in hearing what the lunch menu
What
was.
was it? Because there was some side discussion about, like, why is there no bread?
Mhm.
Everything's tiny. I'm starving.
I don't know if anything on that entire menu had gluten because there were the little parentheses next to each menu offering with the GF, comma, V if it was vegetarian or vegan, blah, blah, blah. So I don't think that anything had
Of course
gluten
not.
because, right, of course not. So the starter was a butternut squash lemongrass soup. And then it was followed by a harvest greens salad, followed by grilled chicken breast with whipped Yukon mashed potatoes, and I believe it said haricot beans. I don't know how
Hmm.
you pronounce haricot, I don't know French very well, so I've
Haricot.
always heard it
But,
haricot. Okay, so
but,
haricot beans, and I was like, why not use verts? Maybe they just need to write it out for Tamra so she doesn't yell out, "Why don't you just call them green beans, fancy pants?" I don't
mm-hmm.
fucking know. And for dessert, it's Varlona, Varl Varolona milk chocolate something, caramel creme brulee something, or fresh strawberries, and I'm assuming cream. So no gluten.
It's just so basic
No
too.
gluten.
Like, I feel like that
Mhm.
menu was invented in the '80s and just now is emerging in Orange County. I don't know.
It's for ladies who like lunch.
It's just so there's
It's
nothing
just
special or interesting about it. I guess the butternut
no.
lemongrass is, like, kind of caught my attention, but otherwise I just feel, like, hungry and disappointed hearing that
And
menu.
why was Heather taking up valuable time to say, uh, "And this is an amuse-bouche, it's a gift from the chef," or it was like something like, she was just like, "Well, no shit." Like, I don't know, maybe she meant that he or she, like, threw in the amuse-bouche, and I
I
love
don't
Katie and
know.
Shannon are all, "What the hell is this little thing on a spoon?"
It's just too many courses for a lunch, a sit-down lunch. It's just like, "Oh god, this feels, like, interminable and boring." The only other thing that Heather did that absolutely drove me up a wall is from the question booth came the question, "What's your favorite piece of jewelry?" Of course, she snatched that one out of the air. And she goes, well, it's something that wasn't always my favorite, but it's my original engagement ring." I was like, "Oh my God, you're so rude." And then they show the ring and it's like, fine, but I guess it's not 3,000 carats. So to her, it wasn't always her favorite. It's from your fucking husband. He asked you
Dude,
to
I don't
marry
even
you with
know.
that one.
Yeah,
Like, she is just
100%.
so, I mean, she just is what she is. It's just money first, and then if there's room for anything else in the day, I guess she'll take a look at it, but I can't
Mhm.
believe she just absolutely took a gigantic, hot, wet shit on her engagement ring. I
It
can't.
was egregious. I was shocked. But my point is that did the producers choose each question for each housewife? Because, of course,
Yes.
Fancy Pants gets the jewelry one, and then Tamra saying, you know, "What would you like to have less of this year? Friends. I would like to have friends that talk, shit about. I don't want any more friends to talk shit about me behind my back." Obviously, we don't need, it just goes without saying, like, practice what you fucking preach, bitch. Like, she's the worst offender of that. I am not saying anything new. You don't need to spend time on that because there are other fish to fry in this episode.
Yeah, I was just glad to be
Dude.
done with this lunch. It felt long. And then we go to Gina's listing, and she shows a house to some potential buyers. And she talks about how now she knows the price of houses, which it was less than a year ago when she didn't know the house of price of houses. And now she's like, my reputation. I'm like, your reputation last we saw was that you were trying to get your real estate license without knowing anything about real estate, including housing prices, which, like, as a as a Zillow hobbyist, I know housing prices, like,
Yeah. Yeah,
come on,
totally.
man. Um,
Totally.
but I thought she did, like, a nice job of showing it, and that's about as generous as I can get. I hate her sales tactic. I hate salespeople so much when she's like, "So you're going to put an offer in, right? You love it, right? Let's get you in this house, right?" Ugh, just like let them
Right.
like it or not like it. Like, you saying that shit is not going to close or open a deal. Like, I hate that part of it.
I do too. I do too. I really do too. Yeah, encountering realtors like that, I'm like, I don't like you. I feel bad for your clients. You're gross. Good luck to you.
I
I'm out.
hate negotiations of all kinds. Like, the last time I bought a car, I went to the dealership with a cashier's check, and I'm like, "This is the money I have to spend, taxes, license, everything. I will pay this for whatever it will buy me." And they tried to, like, upsell me, and I was like, "Buy. I'm not here to
Mhm.
like, no, I don't know what to tell you." And then they called
Mhm.
like 3 days later, and I was like, "You want my check now? Great. I'm happy to
Oh
give
my
it to you and
god.
take the car that it buys." Like, I just hate I don't if I wanted heated seats, I would have come in here asking for them. I don't need to feel like I peed my pants when I'm driving around Southern California where it's already 10 million degrees. Stop talking to me. Like, I just want what I want. Believe me.
We moved to Katie, Shannon, and Jen doing beachside stairs, unless you have
Mhm.
anything else about Heather's SpawnCon, Balboa Bay Club, New You, New Me 2024 party.
No.
She's so stupid. Her parties look dumb.
They just look like obligation. That's
Like,
all
does
I
she have
feel.
fun at her parties?
No, it's a She likes setting up and being mean to the help. And then she likes people saying, "Thank you, Heather. Thank you so much." I think she does everything to hear people say, "Thank you, Heather. This was great. You're great."
I
Anyways,
got real into Heather's story issues later, but,
yes. There's plentiful. But we're on the stairs with Shannon, Katie, and Jen. And again, in another full hip moment, Shannon makes fun of John Jansen for sitting out the steps. She's like, John used to sit down and say, like, I'm gonna sit this round out. And I'm like, Shannon, you've built a brand on falling out of yoga poses and getting trapped on your Peloton bike. Like, don't try to tell us that you're some like Olympic athlete running stairs, you can't be stopped, and stupid John Jansen was slowing you down. Like, give me a break. I can't.
I know. I know. I know. I, I when I believe it was Jen when they first started, uh, she shares what her stair climbing mantra is, which is bigger butt, bigger butt, bigger butt. Now, as someone who came up again, I'm Gen X, it was not anything I could control. Society, misogyny, Madison Avenue, white supremacy, it was all bigger than me. I grew up with very big lips, and I had a larger derriere than was acceptable by Western society. I was made fun of relentlessly for both of those things, um, probably between 8th grade and then up until oh god, I don't even know. Not the lips anymore, but the butt would get comments. Anyway, my point is that it's so funny to me. It's not funny, haha, it's funny like I wanna flip off the world at large to just look back at what I went through, and now people are like, "I would like to give you a lot of money to get these things." I don't have a big butt anymore because of age, and I've lost weight and lost muscle tone, and yeah, my butt's just like, "Listen, I was there for a long time. I'm gonna chill now. I'm gonna
I'm in
enjoy the rest of."
retirement.
I'm in retirement, yeah, so, good luck with those jeans, and we had a good run, which is true, thank you, but I just think it's funny. I just think it's funny in a really shitty way that now everyone's like, bigger butt," but before it was,
Well, and even
"Ew,
now
what's
it's
that?"
falling off. Like, this was 6 months ago, and already the beauty standards have changed again, and we're moving
Yeah,
back
that's
toward
true.
heroin chic. So, like, bigger butt
Oh, damn it. Yeah.
is a, yeah, that's a thing of last summer.
Luckily, Gen
Um,
Z don't care. Yeah. Anyway.
yeah, I hope that's
No, they
true.
do. I know a
I
lot of
just
them
don't
do.
know I don't know if you can live as a human being and not, like, be aware of beauty
Right.
standards in your own body, and, like, it's just really
Yeah.
hard. It's everywhere. You
Mhm.
can't
Mhm.
but hopefully they have a better understanding that there are because we were only taught that there was, like, one acceptable body type, period, and now at least it feels like people are more expressive about what they find attractive and how they feel good in their various different bodies. We didn't get that
Mhm.
message. There was no Dove
No.
beauty campaign
There
when we were kids.
was oh my god, no.
It
There were
was
no
Calvin
models with
Klein.
cellulite. Right.
No, God, no.
Or a belly.
Um, there was one. Who was that? There was one plus size model that emerged in like the late 90s, and there was one. What's her name? Like Emmy or something?
Emmy was one, yes. And then, oh god, I should remember her name because when I first moved back to LA, I tried really hard to get into plus size modeling, and I can't remember why it didn't pan out. If it was me who dropped the ball or if they told me, I don't remember, but
You were probably that
yeah.
size that's like, you're not big enough. Because like plus size modeling, Emmy was the face of Lane Bryant. It's not like
Yeah.
CK1 was putting her in an ad,
Yeah,
but she
yeah.
was just the only face and body that you saw as you walked through the Pasadena Plaza Mall.
God
Anyways,
damn,
I
dude.
digress.
Yes, so
Jen
do I.
notes that John seems really happy with Jesus jugs, and then we get to see some Instagram shots of John smiling with Alexis all up in his face. And Shannon tries to attribute this to new teeth. And again, just full hip as Shannon stands there with a new face and a new body. Like, come on, you guys, You all did some renovations after this breakup and like you were toxic together. He's smiling because he's on Instagram. That's the truth, you know?
Dude,
We don't know what goes on behind
100%.
closed doors, except that we do because we get to see that flashback scene of him saying like "fuck Gina" in this crazy, rageful, inappropriate fashion at a party. So, anyways, he's happier with Alexis. They were toxic together. Like they shouldn't be together. It's not about new teeth.
Yeah,
It's just about a performance. So,
you're 100% right. 100% right. Oy. Ooh.
and then we get to the good stuff. Shannon asked about Katie, and Katie, I was like, anyways, more on her later. But this is sort of boring. She talks about how she and her husband, their lives sort of center around golf. They were both golf reporters for different networks. He plays golf. He wants her to play golf. Blah blah blah. Um, and then Katie again reiterates that she has met Heather before, and Heather only stared at her, and then, you know, deliberately turned away without engaging. So I can't wait to see this shake out. Um, yeah. And then we get into Shannon saying she never knows where she stands with Heather. And Jen starts talking about how she needs to get together with Gina. And then we get a little more Gina FaceTiming Emily.
Ugh. I mean, we already talked about it,
Yeah.
she's on FaceTime with Emily saying that she lost a $50,000 deal because another agent got cold feet doing a deal with Gina because Jen tarnished her reputation. No, Gina, you didn't fully vet. It's one thing to like, let's say of the rental that hasn't come on the market yet, it's going to go really fast and it's in her budget that she's given you. That is what you can use your connections for. But if you go over a critical part and just take someone's word for it, both of you are setting yourself up for failure. Both of you are setting yourself up for chaos and drama.
And also stop pointing the finger at Jen. She's like, because she didn't say it's Jen's fault. She said, I reached out to this woman for a cash buyer and she wouldn't even text me back. You know why? Because your message was probably like, hi, this is Gina. You never heard of me, but I need a cash buyer. And the person was like, what is this accent? I don't know you. Absolutely not. I'm not reaching out. What she's talking about is such a huge deal. She's calling about landing a cash buyer. This woman doesn't know who you are, let alone Jen. You're not established enough to make an outreach call like that and get an immediate text back. Like, get over yourself. Stop blaming. It looks like Gina's doing quite well in real estate, and this could sink her. Like, if she's someone who talks shit about her clients publicly and blames everyone else for her shortcomings or her rookie year in the field, it's just like, it's such a bad look. And Emily
Also,
jumping on
yeah,
board was really surprising to me. This felt really out of character for Emily being like, "Yeah, she ruined your reputation." It's like, do you not have all the information or like what's going on here? No, she didn't.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Oy, oy, oy. I I was just looking at my other notes that are coming up. Jen tells Katie and Shannon what Ryan does for a quote unquote living for work, and it doesn't make sense to anyone. Again, it's the not quite Muppet monkey side eye GIF that is encompassing everything. It means everything to this to this season of Orange County, and now it all makes sense after his involvement with Otani's interpreter, that he makes money via illegal and shady financial transactions. Jen knows this in her guts. I know she knows this.
She knows all of it
She
in her gut. She knows
she
he
knows all of
cheats
it.
on her. She knows he cheats financially. She just chose not to ask specifics about any of it. And she chooses to believe what he tells her, which was when Katie says, what does Ryan do? She goes, well, nothing now. "Oh, well, he used to do mortgage, now real estate development. It's no office or anything. He just sits around and plays in the sunshine. He lives a dream life. That's not an option when you fill out career or field of profession. That, everything you just said is nothing. It's crazy. And that huge
Yeah,
house that we later see, I'm just like, what? With like water
yeah.
features everywhere and like huge rooms, high ceilings, fancy, stupid art, like just not stupid,
Quasi
just
portico share,
just
right?
impersonal. Like it doesn't, you don't look at that and go like, "Oh, no, yes, this is Ryan's house. That's the art he would
Yeah.
like." It's just like, here's art that came with the house. Like, ugh, gross.
God.
Anyways,
We moved to Katie's house. I That's my next note. I don't know about you.
yes.
Katie's
The
house,
only
and this
thing
is
that
yes.
Gina said at the end as she's talking to Emily, she goes, "It's one thing to burn me as a friend, but you take food off my kid's plate and it's a problem." It's like Jen isn't doing anything. Jen is in a horrible spot. She's without Ryan, she's homeless. Like that's what it is. Or she moves all of her kids back in with her family in Oklahoma. So like she's not taking food off your kid. What are you talking about? You know who did that? Your ex-husband Matt. He cost so much in legal fees. He went to jail. He's a felon. He can't work some jobs now because of his record. If someone took food off of your kid's plate, it's your kid's father. It's not Jen's one eviction that you facilitated by putting her in a house outside of her reach. So, Gina,
I
stop it.
I have copious notes on the projection of
Yes,
one Gina. What the hell is Gina's last name?
something like
Kirshen?
that. Sure.
Yeah. I apologize.
I don't remember either.
So we moved to Katie's house and we meet her husband Matt, and we learn
Adorable.
Katie's origin story. She was adopted from Korea, grew up with the name Katie Fletcher. Her adoptive parents and her adopted siblings didn't talk about where she came from. She shares that her adoptive siblings were from Georgia. I don't know if she means Georgia.
No,
Uh,
Georgia, like where her family lives still,
oh, okay.
the
So she didn't
state
mean Georgia,
of.
Russia, Georgia. Okay, okay, okay. Um, and they didn't talk about where she came from or her culture. Didn't eat Korean food. They just kept it all under the rug. And I know, again, I think that she's probably a millennial, but we weren't. That was when so much of our society was still like,
Colorblind.
I don't see color. I
Yeah.
don't see culture. I see you as my equal. So I don't, yeah, colorblind completely. So on one hand, I understand that it was still the times that, you know, it was the times, but I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine how lonely and alienating that must felt her for her to know, to look in the mirror and see, but like no one's talking about why,
And they
how.
showed all those family pictures, and it's just like
Yeah,
four
dude.
white people and then this very Korean baby, and like to never
Mm-hmm.
even address it with
Ha-
her of like, we chose you, we wanted you, and we're going to learn about your culture together, or we're
right.
going to ignore it entirely because we don't know anything about it and we don't want to
Yeah.
bastardize it. But just to not touch it at all and just be like,
Mm-hmm.
here's like this incredibly, just a real southern looking family,
Yeah. Yeah,
and then,
absolutely.
like she said, they heard about Korean adoption, and, it broke my heart to hear her say, "And they FedExed me over, the next
I
week." I was like,
know.
"Don't do that.
I know she
You're an
was being
important
funny, but
being." But
yeah.
it
Oh,
diminishes everything. It just really tells you, like, where her headspace was, that she thought she was just like an Amazon purchase,
oh
you
my
know?
God.
It's heartbreaking.
Um, I think that it really, her sense of humor, I really appreciate it. I I too was when she said that, it stung, like, oh, I felt for her, like,
Mhm.
I really hope that's not how you felt, you know?
I'm sure
Um,
that's how she's told the story for years
yeah,
and just
you're right.
hasn't. It's easier. I get it. It's like how I avoid sort of telling the specifics of my family, and I just sort of like breeze over them with like a quick joke. But
Yeah,
it's that's a heavy experience of, you know, being yeah, being brought into a family because you're so wanted, but being so different and no one helping you.
no one knows how to help you.
So they just ignore it
Yeah,
instead of saying,
yeah,
"I don't know how to help. I know this is different," but, like,
right.
nobody even
No
tried.
one no one even tried.
But her story to me feels
Ooh,
like I just feel like there's enough for, like, 10 seasons of her own show. So first of all,
100%.
starting off with this adoption, a Korean girl going to the South is like, "Okay, I'll watch that series." Then she
Right.
talks about the 3 kids from her prior marriage. Again, breezes right through the fact that she has a 17-and-a-half-year-old living in San Diego to finish out the school year. With who? Why was he in San Diego? What's going on? She has a 14-year-old who lives full-time with her dad in Atlanta. Wow, that's a huge deal. So you never see him. Or do you see him? What's that story? And then we learned that Kylie was a product of a teenage pregnancy, but she had her on her 20th birthday. So she beat the teenage pregnancy rap. But like, what? Like,
Yeah.
just listing those 3 kids. And then she has this adorable little 6-year-old that's the product of her and her current husband, Matt Bandon, who's just like the sweetest little imp. He's just sort of like kind of in the middle background of every shot and just being adorable.
Yeah.
And then Kylie's getting ready for her date. And when I can't remember if it was Matt who asked, like, tell us about this guy. And she goes, well, he's tall. And she mentions that she says that because her mom taught her that boys 6 feet and under are just friends. And I was like, this family, there is so much going on with Katie. Just in this like 3 minutes alone, I'm like, oh my God. And we later learned that Katie's only like 5'7". I'm 5'9". Like, get over yourself. You don't know tall. This is terrible. I put on heels and I'm an NBA player. So like, come on, man.
Oh my God.
It's true. My point is I relate to the plight of the tall, but when I later
Yes.
find out that she's 5'7", I was like,
Five
"Give
seven
me
is
a
yeah.
break." You
Yeah.
don't know.
Totally. 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 Uh, I just my last note on that scene is I love her. I
I
love
do
her.
too. And
I love an
she
irreverent housewife. I really do.
and one with like
Mhm.
a complicated backstory. She talked at the end of the scene about how Kylie feels abandoned by her bio dad, but she has a really close relationship with Matt, the new husband. And so she said, I tell Kylie that we're both adopted and that's okay. And I was like, the fact that she can't even say that's great. Like I was waiting for her to say, like, we're both adopted and that's fucking great. But she just
Right.
said, we're both adopted and that's okay. And I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this FedEx
Yeah.
mentality is heartbreaking. You're beloved, you're so wanted, like
I mean,
but
two
the
strangers in the state of California love you that you've never seen before, and we're, like,
truly,
rooting for you so hard.
but the rejection of a
I
biological
know.
parent is so fucking deep. Even if you
I
never fucking met them, apparently.
can't
It's just
imagine.
like,
Yeah.
but you can, we
You're
we
right.
were rejected
You're
after
right.
people got to know us. They were like,
We were
"Actually, not into
yeah.
this." But either
Yeah,
way,
not
it's
into
like,
this.
it's not great.
We're talking about our respective fathers.
Dads, yes, obviously. Sorry, if you haven't listened to
Yes.
the podcast
Yes.
before, our dads rejected us and told us in explicit detail why, and we carry that with us and go to
Yes.
therapy to manage it.
At the ripe old
Anyways,
age of yes, yes. So we moved to Gina and Emily at EBS Performance and Fitness. At least this place had a normal fitness name. It
I
wasn't
just am dying to know what
punny.
EBS stands for because
I
I
am
feel like
too.
it's something terrible. Anyways, yeah, they're there to like do a practice workout for a flag football game that Emily is organizing because she played flag football with her daughter over the summer and they had a great time. And so they thought that'd be a fun activity for the housewives.
If I was throwing a flag football party and said, "Oh my God, Margie, I played flag football with Leo and it was so fun. You want to come?" You're like, "I've got plans that day.
I would
I can't
go.
go."
I would go, but I wouldn't if you said I'm having a flag football party and what I want to do is have a practice session at a gym with some weird guys. You want to come to that? Well, I'd still say yes, but it was a weird scene. Bottom line, it was a weird scene leading up to a weird scene to come. A flag
Oh my
football
God.
sequence with the Real Housewives is not like top of my list, but I'll watch.
I had a lot. This is where I started to see the projection of Shannon Storm's Bador. I started to just Gina's issues with Shannon became clear. Shannon's issues with everything became clear. And I'm not 100% sure I'm right, but I felt like I had been hit over the head with these realizations. So I'll get there. But yes.
I mean, I really don't
Yes.
have anything to say, so I say dive
Mhm.
in because this
Okay.
scene, the only point of real interest, they loosely talk about how everyone's trying to warn Alexis about John Jansen
Mhm.
because Emily
Mhm.
has invited Alexis to this flag football game down the line. The part of interest is Shannon apologizing for judging Gina, and I thought it was interesting when she said, I think of you as a good mom and a responsible person, and I understand what you went through now." And Gina says she won't hold any ill will, and she hopes for Shannon's personal growth, and she expects she'll achieve it because she's trying. And, that was nice. I don't know. It didn't move me. I wanted to feel like really moved, but I didn't believe Shannon's tears for some reason. I don't
Okay,
know.
good, because that's what I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
I think that Tamara and Alexis were trying to goad Shannon at that party, and I think that Shannon had so much restraint that day that she did not take it on. I don't think that's gonna last this season. We know
Mm,
Shannon, and I also know that anger needs a target and that when you don't feel heard or understood, this is why I can relate to Shannon. When you don't feel understood or you feel like because you're an emotional person, you're never gonna be judged fairly because you're always gonna be just kind of like the first thing people are gonna see is your emotionality. I could be wrong. I am projecting onto Shannon. I fear she's gonna slip at some point, and she's gonna give Tamra ammunition to use against her, and I can't do anything about that. So, yeah, I agree. She shares with Emily and Gina that she had such a hard time after the DUI night, and then I went full Al-Anon, like, okay, so Shannon is crying. And throughout her tears, she sprinkles in a few sorries. And I'm usually really sympathetic to Shannon. But in this case, I felt like her tears were her feeling bad about the DUI night and subsequent photographs of her at John Jansen's doorstep and just like the mugshot coming out, just all of it. It just continued to just unroll humiliation over after humiliation. I think she's feeling bad, but I think she's feeling bad about being embarrassed and humiliated. I don't think that she's crying from genuine feelings of remorse for any of it. I don't buy that I think that she's crying because she's humiliated herself in the public eye, and that is what her tears are about. And I don't think I'm being cynical. I didn't believe her the second time I watched it, and the third time I watched it. I did the first time.
I
But
didn't.
I
I
did it
wanted
okay,
to. I was
alright.
trying to,
Yeah.
but then the scene ended and I was like, "Oh, my heart feels like vacant." It just feels like a
I
void.
I wonder if that is because I think that my Al-Anon knee-jerk reaction to give someone the benefit of the doubt when they're crying and to assume that she was, like, feeling remorse, but what I noticed is that she was crying, but there was no words or behavior of remorse with it. So I was like, "Oh, shit, she doesn't she's not changing at all." And, like, did Shannon really need to go through what she went through to be able to sympathize or empathize with Gina? And why? Was she such a dick about it? This is where I went, like, full, like, squirrel brain. I feel like for G for Shannon to, like, let go of Gina's DUI and then bring it back up last season, I think what we're seeing is that as Shannon's alcohol abuse progressed, her self-hatred progressed, her shame progressed, and she started projecting her own shortcomings as a mom onto Gina, almost like she had an inner premonition of what was coming for her, and she didn't want it to be true. Is that what happened?
I think so, and I it's so funny you say that because I think Gina does the exact same thing at the end of this episode. I think
That's
we hear
exactly
the
what I said.
monologue that Gina was saying to herself last year, the shit she spits at Jen in a time of absolute crisis when it's just not gonna land, it's not helpful to yell at someone when they are that low down, and I'm like, "Oh, this is
Mhm.
what you said to yourself," and
Yep.
and now like you said, anger wants a target, and you found one
They're
instead
looking
of
in the mirrors, and it's uncomfortable. It's the worst.
yeah, and
It's the
instead of
worst to look in
choosing
the mirror.
to but it's also beautiful, like, that's again what 12-step rooms are based on, like, you're not alone. There's a fellowship, a worldwide fellowship full of people in multiple meetings and multiple programs every day who look at each other and instead of going like, "You have something that's gross," they look at each other and go like, "Me too. God, I
Yeah.
recognize that shame. Oh, it's so dark, but I assure you it gets better. And even on the worst days, if you don't pick up a drink, you're a fucking hero. You're a whole success. Nobody else in the outside world is going to understand that, but I do. So you call me at the end of your day when your boss told you you're a piece of shit and, you know, your wife packed your stuff for you and kicked you on the curb. You call me and I'll remind you that if you didn't do meth today, or if you didn't throw up your food today, or if you didn't open a new credit card today, like you won the fucking day. And
Right, right,
again,
right.
it's not one person, it's a whole. And so these people have the opportunity to do that with each other, which is what I was looking for in this moment between Shannon and Gina, but it just felt like two people protecting themselves. Shannon going like, "I'm sorry I called you that because what I know about me is I'm a responsible person and I'm an amazing parent. And how could it happen to me? So that must mean that we're the same." And Gina was like, "Yes, I'm amazing and flawless. And we both did this one weird thing." As opposed to, as you know, I feel so strongly about drunk driving. I'm like, this
Yeah,
isn't like a one, like you, this is, yeah, that was a,
I agree. I
anyways.
agree. I felt like I wanted to warn Gina and Emily too, like, they were so they did yeah, I was just Al-Anon all over the fucking place in this episode, but especially in this scene, like, "Ladies, you need to listen to what she's saying to you. She's not saying sorry."
No.
And they were both like, "Oh my god," and I'm not I acknowledge the growth that Shannon has shown. I
Hmm.
do believe there is some humility going on, and I do believe that there is some change going on. I don't know.
No,
I gotta
because
see more, you
you
know?
pointed it out before. It's not humility necessarily that's coming through, but other things are happening. Like you said, she's keeping she's keeping Tamra at arm's length, and later she keeps Heather at arm's length. She's doing a better
Mhm.
job of like protecting who she is, but I don't know that she hasn't admitted that she is an alcoholic. And
No.
I don't know if she is or not, but she does admit in this scene that between the DUI and going to that program, she drank heavily a lot. And she told Gina it was really hard to stop. And I was like, this sounds like a telltale sign of an alcoholic. But
Right.
because
100%,
she doesn't want to
100%.
admit that yet. And it's, you know, as my sponsor said to me when I was struggling in early recovery with my eating disorder, she said, "You'll be done when you're done." And I was
Yep.
like, and that was the truth. I knew what was right. I knew what was wrong. I knew what I was, but I just wasn't done until
Dude.
I was, and it, you know, continuing to going to meetings for 2 years, still acting out terribly with food behaviors and dieting and all that stuff. But eventually it took. So, you know, I don't
Yeah.
know. Whatever. I don't know what I'm
Ay, ay,
talking about.
ay. No, yeah, you do. Yeah, you
I
do.
mean, but it's, yeah. Anyways, I agree wholeheartedly with your
Okay.
Al-Anonic
Yeah.
assessment of the situation. It feels
Alanonic, I
right
love that.
on.
I love that.
Ramona and Margie are
Obviously.
not doctors and do not provide medical advice. Their content is intended to be used for entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to be, should not be interpreted as, or used as a substitute for medical advice or a diagnosis of any health or fitness problem, condition, or disease, nor a recommendation for a specific test, doctor, care provider, procedure, treatment plan, product, or course of action.
My mom isn't a doctor.